Welcome back to the Big Roofs Podcast. My guest today is Mike Christie, founder of the Roofing Revenue System. Mike helps roofing contractors increase revenue by improving what happens after a lead comes in. His work focuses on the systems that drive growth: speed to lead, estimate follow-up, sales processes, customer retention, memberships, which I'm super excited to talk about today, and the operational systems that help roofing companies convert more opportunities into actual revenue. With more than 15 years of experience in lead generation, sales, and marketing, Mike has helped businesses generate thousands of leads and build systems that create predictable growth. Today, he works with roofing contractors who want to close more jobs, increase profitability, and build a more valuable business. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
A lot of that intro was a lot of what we talked about already. I know before we hit record, we have a lot of the same mindsets about a lot of things just in roofing in general. So I'm super excited to hear I want to learn something. I especially want to talk about memberships and recurring revenue. And it's been a challenge for me and my roofing business when we had ours. So let's get into it. Let's talk about, where do you see most roofing companies lose revenue? Like, after a lead comes in, what are you seeing the trends when a lead comes in? Where do they lose the revenue?
Where they're really leaking it is just simply in the speed with which they're reaching out to the homeowner. So if they're out doing an estimate or they're on the roof or they're working with the crew, whatever, they'll maybe see that the lead came in and they'll like, okay, as soon as I get a minute, I'll go ahead and give them a call, right? Well, that minute turns into 15, turns into an hour, turns into 90 minutes. And then they get back to the office and they realize, oh my gosh, I didn't call that person back. By the time they get back to that lead, typically that lead's going to be gone. Unfortunately for business in general, everybody who's in the home services business, this is an issue, is that technology has considerably shrunk the time period that they have to be able to reach out, to the point where if you're not responding to that lead in under 60 seconds, you're going to be second, third, fifth, whatever. Okay. But the key is if you're on the roof and that lead comes in, you can't, just stop what you're doing. So the key here, and the thing that I try to help operators with, is to understand the concept of automation, that all of this can be automated, so that initial response in under 60 seconds can be automated with a text message that almost just says, hey, hold on a second, I'll be back. I'll be back to you in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But you're buying a little bit of time when you automate that response to when a lead comes in. So you've got that response in under 60 seconds. When you do that, and when you're able to then say, get back within 5 minutes, for example, you're going to increase your chances of getting the estimate from, say, 20% to over 65%. So think about that. Just start doing the math. And you'll realize that I've already paid for the lead, right? And if I can get to them in under a minute and then call them within 5 minutes, I refer to it as the first 5 minutes, right? First 5 minutes are the most important part. If I can get to them within the first 5 minutes, I have a very high chance of getting the appointment to go and do the inspection, right? So it goes from like a 20% chance to a 65% chance, right? So let's say that you're successful in doing that. So now you've got the estimate and the estimate goes out. The challenge with a lot of the people that I talk to in the business is that they might give it 1 or 2 follow-ups, like, I called or I sent an email. Well, I guess I didn't hear from them, so they must have gone with someone else or they decided not to do the job. So basically what happens, and I'm really guilty of this because I've been in sales for now, 40 years. I love to hunt, right? So to meet the process of finding business and closing is a lot of fun. And if somebody doesn't respond quickly, I want to move on and go to the next one, right? So I'm guilty of it too. But the reality is that if you give up after 1 or 2 times, you're significantly reducing the chance that you'll ever close on that lead, right? So to give you an idea, if you're only responding 1 or 2 times and giving up, your estimate to close rate is going to be around 10%. Okay. Now, what I propose is, and you and I have talked about this, I propose a multi-touch follow-up system that mine spans over 45 days. So from the time that you send out that estimate, we're going to basically run an automation that'll last at least 45 days and have anywhere between 10 and 15 touch points, right? Consisting of text messages, emails, voice drops, to stay in front of, that prospect. Because what happens is, they're reaching out, they're getting an estimate, stuff happens at home, traveling, taking care of kids. They put it on the back burner for whatever reason. And, a lot of operators just give up on it. But the ones that stick with it are going to increase their chances of closing on that estimate by 50+%. So when you start doing the math on that, you start to see some very, very significant revenue that's just leaking out the bottom of your boat, right? And when you tighten up that speed to lead and then you tighten up that, estimate to close, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that you're going to retain and not spend a single extra dollar on leads. So for the same amount of money that you're spending, you're getting, 10, 15, 20 times the return by tightening up that process. All right. So again, this is not like super, super complicated stuff. It's just a matter of getting a system in place that's going to completely run in the background. This is 100% automated. You're not going to pick up the phone and call. This is all running in the background. And what's going to happen is that it's all going to come back to you as a result of that. So that really those are the two things that I think really impact, the revenue side.
Makes sense. Yeah, you answered a lot of my questions I was going to have. So, speed to lead is a term that it took me forever to actually learn it years ago. But once I figured out what speed to lead was, it started to change. And I think that because, to your point about technology and customer expectations, because we've been customer facing, and so and a lot of ProLine success has been because of that perspective. Because if you don't have that like visceral feeling of like, this is what homeowners want, or a lot of roofing contractors have never been roofing customers because they're roofers.
Yeah.
So you can kind of like compare it to HVAC or another home service that maybe you don't have an expertise in, but it's not the same thing. So you really got, and also being a contractor, you have a pretty unique perspective on, it's not exactly your ideal customer perspective because you have a knowledge base that they don't have. You have an expectation that they don't have. So it's not really good to think like, well, this is what I would do. Like you got to think about who's your last 10 favorite customers and what did they say in the 5-star review? And I guarantee you it's something about they answered their phone. They were very responsive. There's some sort of communication piece to why they loved you. And a big part of that was speed. How quickly this company responded to me to get to the problem that I had. That was a huge thing that I think most contractors, they don't necessarily see because it's changed over the years. They don't see how important it is now in 2026. Speed to lead is like, it's got to be, like you said, under a minute. 38 seconds is the time that we try to hit because of technology and delays and all the things. So somewhere in that range. And a couple things that you said made me think about me too. It's like, I want to go to the next deal too. I knew that about myself. I was like, this is fun to go hunt. You got to become somewhat of a farmer. And if you don't like farming, you got to use some technology to help you farm the same leads that you're coming through. And that's just a big thing. Like if you know that it's not your strength to be a farmer salesperson, you need to use a tool or a platform to do that. It's really, really important. You said something too, 10% close rate is like, people don't add up. If we interview people sometimes like, my close rate is 80%. Like that's probably not true. If it's true, you got to raise your prices really fast.
It's true.
But likely they're just not adding all of these other opportunities that they're just kind of throwing them by the wayside. Well, they didn't respond after, 2 text messages. Like it's not the same. You paid for that lead, even if you knocked the door, even if it was another lead source, you still paid money. There's some sort of resource that you put out into the world to get somebody to reach out to you. Maximize it. Like
Yeah.
they have a problem that you can solve. And it's super likely they have not solved that problem yet. Just maximize your opportunity with that homeowner. I become very interested in this part of it. I know there's a lot of parts of like the sales process, but this one in particular, because a month ago I called 2 different services. I actually did a whole podcast on this, on a short, like 15-minute, like a floor. I was looking for flooring.
Yeah.
I was looking for window replacements. And this is like a really expensive. These are big jobs.
Yeah.
More expensive than roofs, the windows were. I could get anybody to answer the phone.
I know.
I was like, what is going on in this world? Like this is insane. Like I need to start a window business right now, apparently, because it's still a problem. People are not realizing how important speed lead is.
Yeah. I'm building a cabin on a river in western Montana, which is off the grid. So it's all solar.
Yep.
Took a month for the solar provider to get back to respond to my form call. I called 3 times, right? And they finally called me back. And unfortunately, when you live in Montana, you don't have this wide variety of voices. You got like 1 or 2. And like I reached out, and man, it's like took a month for somebody to get back to me. But the other side of this too, John, is, and you mentioned it, I'm talking about speed to lead on a form fill.
Mhm.
So when someone's on the website, they're filling out the form, right? And they're filling out 5 of them, by the way, not just 1.
Yep.
But the other most important thing, and I actually posted about this a week or so ago, is that whatever it costs for an operator to have a live human being answer that phone in the office rather than going to voicemail, it's worth 10 times what you're paying.
Mhm.
Worth 10 times, right? So you get somebody who is totally good with answering the phone, nice voice, friendly, always, happy, optimistic, that type of thing. And that in itself is going to shut everybody else down.
Yep.
Right. So they pick up the phone. Hi, hello, welcome to so-and-so your company, right? How can I help you today? Oh, I need somebody to come out, look at my roof. I have some damage, or there was a windstorm last night, or I think I need to replace the roof, right? Great. Let me hop on the schedule here and get somebody over to your schedule to come over and see you today, or, whatever. The point is, that is a point of contact that you can't push off to voicemail, because you'll never get that back. So whatever it costs to have somebody to answer your phone who is not, I've listened to these AI, phone answering conversations, and they're a little frustrating sometimes when you ask AI something it's not scripted for. If it's not in the knowledge base, then AI is not going to be able to help you, with a phone call. And almost every time I've called, an operator and AI's picked up, it hasn't gone as planned. So if you really want a real person there, man, maybe someday AI is going to, be perfect, but for now you really want a human answering the phone. And when you couple that with, the automated system for a form fill, now you've filled all the gaps, right? Those are the only 2 ways they can get in touch with you: phone, or, through a form, or if they walk in, onto your property, into your office,
Yep. Absolutely. And it's June 2026 right now. We don't know what the agents, I mean, 'cause there are a lot of agents. I love that term, and I'm learning agentic terms, where they're very roofing specific. They have all the objections. They know how to handle the objections. Still not perfect yet, but it's only a matter of time. At least what I see currently is having a real person is great. They need to be able to answer the most common 30 questions people have.
Yep.
Super friendly, like you said. And then after hours, like you either have an answering service, which would be better than having another AI agent. We have AI agents, but like at least have something answer the phone. It can be an AI agent after hours, and then at least for a form fill, an automated text and email that actually give a link to a scheduling an inspection.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to give value. You can't just say, okay, we're here. Thanks for reaching out. It's got to be like, oh, you have to give them what they want, which is they want to schedule an inspection.
It's what they want.
We also played with this for a while, and I never really perfected it. We had, first we had 12 questions. There was like 9, and we had the most commonly asked questions in a form, and it was our script for our receptionists.
Yeah.
And it was wildly powerful, maybe too powerful, honestly.
Okay.
Because it really filtered out people. Like we probably scared off a lot of people because they were just normal questions. Like, hey, do you own the home?
Yeah.
Like, what? Oh, well, I don't own it. I'm actually looking at this house to buy. I'm just getting like, okay. And we were just picky with who we wanted to work with. Like we didn't want to just go work with whoever. And because what we found is, and some people just are willing to do this, but we found that our time was valuable and we didn't want to spend an hour and a half of our day to go look at a roof that was almost certainly not going to sell because they're just getting a price to reduce the purchase price of the house. Like we're like, no, the realtor that we know reaches out. That's different, but it wasn't. It was usually just, speed to lead. Important you have to determine what that process looks like, basically.
Right. And I think what happens, because I've owned several home services, businesses. I've never been on the roof, but I've done pressure washing, window cleaning, gutter cleaning and repair. So I've been around the house, and I kind of know how homeowners, how homeowners, go through this process. And I think what happens with the operator, to your point, is when they're busy, when their crews are out and they're busy and they're running around doing estimates, they don't think about that leakage because they're busy, right?
Yep.
They're like, hey, I'm busy. There's money in the bank. I know, okay, this is what I'm paying for leads, but I guess that's what I need to pay. And they don't actually sit down and map out, what would happen if I did it better? Like maybe I could double or triple or quadruple my number of jobs, which means I can bring on another crew. So when I was doing window cleaning, I had a total of 5 crews out every single day washing windows. And the reason is that my partner and I, we didn't let a single penny leak out of that business. I mean, if you could be obsessed about anything in the roofing business, be obsessed with the speed to lead and follow up. Okay. Now, it's okay to be the best roofer in town, but I can guarantee you the roofer that's doing the most business isn't necessarily the best roofer, if that makes sense. He's the best marketer. He's the best salesperson. He's the one that has the systems, right? And he's closing more jobs for the same amount of money that you're spending, on your leads, because he's got systems to tighten all that up. So I think if you become obsessed about anything in the business, get obsessed on the front end so that you're closing more on the back end. And that way you can grow and you can scale, right? It's very difficult to do that if you just continually, are flushing money down the drain as a result of not plugging these holes in your system or no system,
Yep. It was, you're making me think about the first roofing company I worked for. Now it's almost a 90-year-old business. I don't know how well they're doing now, but over the past 10 years, I'm pretty sure there's been a pretty stark decline.
Yeah.
Because technology, the stuff we're talking about right now, and just the professionalism of roofing contractors in general, there's more of them. There's not the chuck in the truck, which is what the southern region of the United States, I mean, it's all over, but there's just more professional roofing contractors. And I just remember the process was like, we did have a receptionist. She'd answer the phone during business hours unless she was on her hour-long lunch break. That's when, guess what? That's when customers call too. They're on their lunch break too.
Yeah.
And she'd answer the phone. I don't know how the system was set up. It wasn't necessarily round robin. There's only 3 sales reps. I was one of them. And she would assign the sales rep, and it was like a really weird, it wasn't ACT the kind of from my world, the original CRM act.
Oh yeah.
It was something like that.
Yeah. I use it.
Yeah, it was something similar to that. So there was a system, but the thing was, our sales rep's going to call you back.
Yeah.
It was like, what?
Yeah.
And everybody just accepted it because that's the only, there's only a few players in the whole town. So
Yeah.
I was just like, so the next day we had our little like stack of leads, and it was a really successful business. So we'd have like, this is a small town. We'd have like 10 to 15 leads a day,
What?
like appointments. Yeah, it was crushing. 90-year-old business. Everybody knew what it was. So it's like, I mean, during the busy months.
Yeah.
And then we would just call those people back and be like, I'm like, this is the craziest, and I had no idea. I was just like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And everything was on pen and paper, and it was just like, that's fine. But there was no real systems, even from that perspective. There's no like, it was just crazy how successful that business was. And it was profitable too. And it was the most expensive company in town as well. And it's just like, how much more efficient could it have been? This wasn't that long ago. I mean, this is more than 10 years ago. This is a long time ago. This is 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago now. But yeah, crazy time.
That's a great story. And it just shows, it's like, can you imagine if she was actually scheduling the estimates is like, oh, you want somebody to come out here? How about Tuesday at 10?
Even if it was a paper calendar and she had, there's 3 calendars for 3 sales reps, and she's just like writing even if she was doing that, that'd be way better.
Would be great. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Yeah. No, it's the other thing too that I'm seeing, and I see this in the groups now, where there's somebody will post this like, hey, I want to start a roofing company. I don't know anything about it, but I want to start a roofing company. And what's happening, what's really interesting, is if you look at the labor market right now, these folks getting out of college right now with these useless degrees, right? Like they can't get jobs. Like I read an article that talked about computer engineers. Like nobody needs to hire them anymore. Like people that do code, they don't need to hire these people. So here you've been educated for 4 years, you get out of college, you can't find a job. So you look at, hey, like what's a good business to go into? And they're looking at, how I started my window cleaning business was, I was talking to my realtor one day and I said, hey, because the company I was working for went out of business and I was in sales. And I said, what does this town need? What service is not being provided? Because we don't have a window cleaner in town. So I knew nothing about washing windows, John, nothing, literally. And the next day I started my window cleaning business. I put a classified, this is 1982, put a classified ad in the paper, got my first job. Showed up with a bucket and that squeegee that you use to wash windows or windshields with. That was my order. Yeah. And I said to the lady, I said, do you have a ladder? Oh, I have a ladder. It took me 3 days to clean her windows, right? Yeah. But I learned how to do it. And as a result of that, I launched the business. But it was like, okay, I'm out of work and I need to pay the mortgage. So this is a business I can jump into and I can learn how to do it. Now it took, there's a little bit of a learning curve there, but the point is, a lot of people right now are going to be turning to the trades in order to make a living, and especially roofing, because the ticket value in roofing is very high. Like I might get paid $350 to wash, the windows on a house, but you're doing a roof for 15, to 10, 15, $20,000. So there's a lot of money in it, and I think that's going to attract a lot of people into this business.
It's true. It's there's actually, was just ran across this company in Pennsylvania, young guys, just like local dudes, and they're really smart because they're like, okay, fine, we can go do office jobs. We're like, you can tell they're not rednecks like we have in the South. They're like just working dudes, and then they're like, we're gonna be roofing contractors. They're like probably 8 or 10 of them.
Yeah.
And they're just really good with social media, super smart with that. Their website's good because like these are some skill sets they probably just can learn using AI.
They were born with them. Yeah.
Yeah. Just learn that part, learn the markings. Like you said, the marketing side, they can kind of dominate that side of it.
Yeah.
Because they're, whatever generation it is, they're probably all under, I know they're all under 25 years old.
Yeah.
And it's like,
In their trucks.
yeah, they just understand like branding. They understand
Yep.
like they're getting kind of a free lesson or just a better lesson on the marketing side. So now they're just like filming all their tear offs. That guess what? Roofing is not. I'll say this, Ginger. I've roofed a lot of houses. Roofing is not difficult intellectually.
Right.
There is very high level skill for flashing and valleys, and there is high level skill.
Right.
But once you learn those skills, it is much easier than building some cabinets.
Yeah.
So that being said, it's still super hot and it's terrible and it's really hard work. And people will quit after one summer usually because it's terrible.
It's yeah.
But to your point, I think the average roof right now in America, all over America, is like $13,000 something dollars. It's pretty low. Because ours was much higher. Montana, I'm sure, is probably higher. I mean, just my roof lead. I had 2 different markets, and the main crew that I worked with for more than like 11 or 12 years. Shout out to him. He was working every day he wanted, and he probably brought home $350,000 to $400,000.
Yeah.
And he's a roofer. Yeah. And like, it's like people don't realize like that's doctor money. It is.
Money. Yeah.
Anyone can do that. You just have to be willing to do what he's doing. He worked insanely hard.
Yeah.
For years. He's still working. He's a little bit older than me. He's not too much older than me, but he's working since he was like 16.
Yeah. Yep.
Endless work. You just become really good at that one thing. Endless work. Literally, people call him every day, all day. Please come do my roof.
Yep. And there's nothing wrong if he wants to be on the roof and doing the work. There's nothing wrong with that. And he's making good money. But then if he said, hey, I want to make $1 million a year, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to need 2 or 3 more crews out there, and I'm going to have to, have more.
And he started to do that. He started to figure out. He started wrapping trucks.
Yeah.
He started to split his crew because we had like 14 guys at one time. So he could do 7 and 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did 2 roofs a day for me a lot of times. If they're small roofs, they would tear off, install same day.
Yeah. I see it in my neighborhood. It's the same thing. They'll do a roof and a half a day or 3/4 of a day. But the point is, when he decides, hey, I want to get off the roof, I want to manage, right? I'm going to get, 2, 3, 4, 5 crews out there. His job becomes marketing. Like now he's got to feed the beast, right? So he's got to go out, he's got to run ads. That's when an operator gets really stingy with leakage.
Yep.
Like, hey, how can I get more?
Yeah, because you watch that money go out every single day.
Exactly. He's looking at his Facebook and his Google bills and he's going, man, I gotta get more juice out of this stuff, right? But that's where, that's where what ProLine can do for them is to basically automate that process so that, once it's running, once the leads are coming in and it's running, all of that other stuff, on the back end happens. The estimates get booked, the jobs get closed, and boom, now you're looking to bring more people on, right? And, and scale it faster. So, I think that there are a lot of people that I talk to they're very happy with the level of money that they're making. So they're not quite at the point where they're going to say, yeah, let me completely learn something new, or let me introduce something new into my business because I'm happy. I'm making enough money,
Yep.
and that's okay too, But these young guys that are coming in, John, they're not going to settle for that.
No, there's a very small percentage of people who are successful entrepreneurs.
Right.
And it's fun. It sounds fun. I tell my kids all the time, we do hard things. And they're like, yeah, we do hard things. And then we're doing a hard thing. And they're like, this is what it is. I'm like, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
You got to be kind of crazy to be an entrepreneur. So like, you got to be willing to learn. You got to be a student forever. I was a terrible student in school, but you have to be willing to learn new things. And you got to kind of like what you're doing too. You got to like that off the roof work that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like you got to like to learn that. If you don't like learning it, you can't just pay. People complain about marketing companies all the time because they're not willing to learn it themselves.
Right.
Even at a small scale, you got to understand it, like the mechanics of Google ads and Facebook ads and SEO. Like I knew enough. My wife even learned enough to run our SEO. Like she just learned it. Very analytical, very like you have to learn these things this is part of owning a business. And to your point, it's totally fine. If you don't want to do all that, don't do it. Like it's a lot.
Like you said, the best advice I ever got when I was young, somebody said to me, you can hire somebody to do it for you, but you better learn how to do it yourself.
Yep.
Like, and I found that extremely valuable when I started using agencies because I knew when they were throwing BS out at me.
That's right.
Like I know exactly. I was probably better at Facebook than they were, but I just didn't have the time for it. When they came back to me and said, "Oh, you got this many clicks, we're doing great," I go, "No, you're not. I don't have any more jobs." Right?
Yeah.
Like, stop giving me the vanity metrics and saying you're doing a good job because you're not. Right?
Yeah.
But see, when you know that a click is just a click, but if the click isn't followed up with a purchase, of some kind in some ratio, then guess what? Your agency is just sending, just billing you monthly for getting clicks. That's it.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Very true. Another quick story. A friend of mine was getting his roof done down the road, and he was having me review the estimates that were he was getting. And it was like, these are very similar softwares, one of which I used. The same way you're talking about understanding marketing, you need to understand quoting and estimates and proposals, whatever you call them. You need to understand the psychology behind sales with that. They didn't try. These guys, like, I was having to explain to my friend what these things were, and that shows that the companies have failed at communicating, continuing that speedily communication to now the quote part of it, the estimate. What, why do so many estimates never turn into sales in your perspective? Like, what I see a lot of things. What do you see with quotes? Like, why don't people choose?
Well, you just said it. It's you send out an estimate the way a roofer would read an estimate, not the way a homeowner would read an estimate, because they don't know what all these things are. They're looking at the line items and are going, okay, I think that's the shingle that goes on the roof, right? But they're going through the line items and they can't understand it. And so basically they're looking at something they don't understand. But the most important thing, John, in my opinion, as to why someone doesn't get the job is that they're treating their price at the bottom of the page as their offer. Does that make sense? And it's not the offer, it's the price. So if you don't have an offer for your estimate, then people are not going to just fall into it, right? So I talk to operators about what I call stacking the offer. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do your roof for $15,000, and on top of that, I'm going to give you a free inspection every single year for as long as you own your home. I'm coming by, I'm going to inspect your roof, and because if you hire me, then anytime you need repair work, I'm going to discount that by 25%. Okay. And also, because you hired me to do your roof, when a storm rolls through, right, you'll be on my list and I'll text you within 48 hours to come out and inspect your roof to see if there's any damage. Now, think about it. If you're doing that with all of the roofs you replaced after a storm and you're going out 24, 48 hours afterwards, and you've told them, I'm going to show up and look at your roof. You don't need to call anybody. What's going to happen when you show up and look at the roof? You're going to say, hey, you need this done. You need that done. You need this done. So now you stack your repair calendar with all that filler work, right?
Yeah.
In between all the roofing jobs, now you got all this filler work where you can come in and you can fix gutters and replace shingles and whatever that storm, did. You're basically guaranteeing that you're going to remain busy with repair work if you're in a part of the country where you get storms. Now here, we get a lot of wind in Montana, like massive wind. A normal day here could be 40 miles an hour with 60-mile-an-hour gusts. So shingles are flying off roofs all the time. If I had a roofer who came to me and said, hey, if did repair work, if it came in and said, listen, if you hire me to do the repair work, then every time we have a storm, I'll text you and tell you I'll stop by and look at your roof. I would never use another roofer ever, right? So I think, so when I talk about stacking the offer, you're talking about adding, anywhere between 3 and 5 additional things that you will do in addition to replacing the roof that doesn't cost the homeowner anything, and you can actually connect a value with that, right?
Yeah.
So all these add-ons, right? I'm going to guarantee my workmanship for as long as you have your roof, as long as you're living in the house, right? I'm going to provide a discount on repairs, all the things that I mentioned. Once you do that, it's very difficult for a homeowner that's looking at 3 estimates with just a price and looking at your estimate with all of these add-ons on there.
I love this so much. This is something I haven't heard of in roofing. Stacking an offer is obviously it's in sales all over the place.
Yeah.
My roofer my roofer alarm kind of went off. I was like, I don't want to do that. And then you started to sell me right now because I'm thinking of even if there's because Athens, Georgia is not a storm market. There's very few. It's kind of crazy. Atlanta gets a lot of storms because it's big and there's a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Athens doesn't. It's an hour and a half, University of Georgia. We just didn't have any storms. So I'm thinking, okay, now I got all my calendar filled with all these pointless things. And I thought to myself, as you're talking right now, I'm like, this is actually genius because now, not only at the point of sale is it more valuable, but now you're going to have on your calendar, even if you don't have like a crazy repair division, you're going to have people to see you and your truck and your employees or you, whoever's on your team.
Yeah.
Come to their house. Hey, just letting you know, we're doing our annual inspection. We'll send you the photos. We're done. Yeah, don't have to do anything. Guess what? You're top of mind. Oh, they're moving? Oh, now they need a new roof for the new house.
Yeah.
There's so many things. Your neighbors see you. What are they doing here? Nothing. They just doing their annual inspection. Does your roofer do that? Like this is genius. Now, we're getting into it later about subscriptions, but like this is actually this is maybe the biggest like nugget of gold in this podcast so far because I knew makes me want to go back and do this. You just get so many more touches in the places that you already know you want to work in. They're the neighborhoods you already work in.
Yeah.
And we didn't have this feature. And so how does this work? Well, back, even a few years ago, we didn't really have this. There were other tools that could do this, but practically speaking, your roofer listening to this, ProLine has a broadcast feature. So like you could have people, all your customers, every time there's they just go in a broadcast and you broadcast a text message to all of them, letting them know, hey, the storm's coming this week. We're going to be by to inspect your roof.
Yeah. We'll just come check your roof quick. And if we find something, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
I learned this, my very first job in 1978 as a salesperson. I worked for the president of the company. It's a small company. But he gave me some great advice. He said, whenever you go into a meeting with a prospect, and we sold displays, but whenever you go into a meeting, I want you, and he gave me this really expensive Cartier pen, right? I want you to leave this pen somewhere on his desk, okay, where he can't see it, right? So he can't say you forgot your pen. So you leave the pen, and then you leave, and when you got back to the office, you would call and say, I forgot my pen. You know what? I'm going to be in your building tomorrow. I'll stop in and pick it up, right? You stop in again, and that person that you saw, will come out and say, hey, you know what? I had an idea since you were here yesterday. Can we talk about it? I can't tell you how much business we got on the leave your pen behind, trick, whatever.
Love that.
But the point is, and the reason why I tell, operators this, is that any chance you have to get in front of somebody, you've got to take it. So whenever there's a storm or the annual inspection, or, hey, we've got this new product, we'd love to come out and show it to you, or maybe even apply it on your roof to see if you like it. I mean, there's a zillion reasons why you can get in front of somebody. And once you're in front of them, you'll find something on a roof that needs to be fixed. I guarantee it. I mean, there's so many little things. I mean, when you go through the list of all the things that could be wrong with a roof, you'll find it.
Just cleaning off the roof. If there's debris in valleys, like, all right, you're up there. Hey, I took this picture. You had debris in the valley. This is going to cause a leak in your valley. Blow it off.
Exactly.
You look like a rock star. Oh, also, how about this part? This is made me think of so many things. are you struggling getting 5-star reviews? How about use that and, oh, they didn't give a 5-star review. Oh, how about, oh, your husband did? Well, you write a 5-star review, so you got another 5-star review.
Yeah.
Because you just served them again to clean off their roof for free. Boom. They're the best.
Today I posted about an automation that you can do, which is a referral automation. All right. You send out, you text a message basically saying, if you refer a friend, family member, neighbor, whomever, and we end up replacing the roof, you'll get a $200, Visa gift card, right? So, but you don't just do that every once in a while. You run it every month. So every single month they get a communication from you, and you word it differently, just reminding them that you have a referral program where they can earn $200 or whatever you want to give them. And my opinion is you run the referral for the referral, not necessarily if they buy the roof. Because how much you're going to pay for a lead, right? How much you're going to pay for a lead?
Hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds of dollars. So just take what you would pay for a lead, and every single month, all of your customers get a text message from you about referring, somebody and getting something.
Yep.
Right. And John, that runs in the background. You're not touching it. It's just running, Yeah. So people say, "Oh, I don't want to give them a, gift card. That's money out of my pocket." I go, "No, it's not. You were going to pay for that.
Yeah, you're already going to spend it.
You're already going to spend it." I always get a kick out of when they say things like that. I'm like, wait a second, you're going to pay $300 for a lead or $99 from, a lead from somebody that might not even be a good lead, or
likely not to be a good lead. The close rate on those are very low
because they're going out to 10 people, right?
Yes.
So here you're going to get a qualified, hopefully, you're going to get a referral from a customer, and the chances of closing that for repair or for a new roof is going to be very, very high. So give them something for that.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yep.
All right. So anything else to say about quotes or estimates? Any other ways you'd improve? I like the stacking. We do good, better, best. Some people do best, better, good. Anything else you'd say with your quotes, your estimates?
Just make them so that a fifth grader can understand.
Perfect.
What it says. Okay. In fact, I was doing some content for another client, and the subject line was explain it like you're explaining it to a taxi driver, right? In other words, somebody who doesn't know anything about roofing should be able to read your estimate and know exactly what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. But then again, look at the estimate not as just the price. Create the offer stack so they can't say no. It's called the irresistible offer. Is really what you're doing there. Yeah.
Makes sense. I will say pictures, people, please use pictures. Like, none of the estimates that my friend just gave me had pictures in it of his roof. Like, oh my goodness, take pictures. They have a problem. Provide the solution. Draw on the picture and say, this is what we're going to do with this flashing. This is what, please. Like, that's low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
I always like this kind of thing I got from Dave Sullivan, which is like, bring your customers up on the roof with you. Like, they're not going to climb up on the roof, but like, they need to see it. They're never going to look at it either. But you can, if they're not going to read anything and you don't know how to write it like a fifth grader will read it. Pictures are like a fifth grader. So use pictures and then draw on the pictures.
Yeah, or video.
Yeah. So we always did videos for inspections, but in the quote itself, we would have some video sometimes, but we would say what to expect on roof day in the video, for the actual roof day estimate. But like in your quotes, we had 12 pictures. Every part of the roof system. We would also have, like, what is a roof system? Very simple. I got way too complicated at times with the length of my quotes. I narrowed it down. I think it was 8 pages at the end of it all, but it was as concise as it could be because it was literally 3 times that long before. You have 1 page of the roof measurements. So they knew, how did you get the measurements so fast? This is how we use the same technology the insurance company uses. This is how to measure it down to 1 inch. All right. Well, okay. Now I can trust you more because you measured it correctly. All right. And then like, what is a roof system? Okay, here's one picture of a roof system and it showed all 7 components and like,
Yeah.
this is what we install. And they would show pictures of their house. So we're trying to tell their story, not how good we are. Like we're telling their story. See this chimney has no cricket. We're going to build this cricket. What's a cricket? Looks like this. We drew on it. It's like a 5th graders thing is like, I have a 5-year-old daughter and I test things on her. She's kindergarten. I'm like, can you read? You understand what this is, baby? She's like, yes. Like, yeah. Okay, perfect. I got it right.
Everybody's going to understand it.
And again, my friend who gave me these quotes, these estimates from other roofers, it was impossible. Like I understood how to read it all perfectly, but it was like very technical, not clear, no good, better, best, no stacking offers, like you said, at all.
Yeah.
It was just a very difficult decision for my friend to even make. You know,
Yeah.
I had to guide him through like, this is probably the best option. And he's like, okay, I'll do it.
Yep.
It's just like, okay, just take time to write your estimates and create your quote experience for the customer. Tell the customer story. That's what I've always had needs the best.
And this is where AI can help you.
Yeah.
You can take an estimate and you can go into Claude, or ChatGPT and say, rewrite this estimate so that somebody who doesn't know anything about roofing can understand it. And you can at least evaluate what that says and take some stuff off of that,
Yeah.
But that I think is the biggest thing with something like roofing, which is, for people that don't know it, it's got a completely different language.
Yeah, it does. It is new words they've never probably seen ever. So they've, there's minds kind of moving along the same sales process. Some people like to sit at the kitchen table every single time. Some people like, I'm not doing that. There's there's a wide variety of sales processes.
Yeah.
After you've done that portion, you've asked for the sale and you've not gotten a yes. I know we've talked about this. You have a 45-day plan, but how many follow-up attempts should a contractor make at that point? Like for 45 days, roughly how many times is somebody getting followed up with?
At least 10, unless, at least 10 to 15 until they either buy or say no. That's basically, if you're on touch 5 and they call you up and say, I didn't hire you, I hired somebody else. You know what? Then you put them on your nurture list. You don't give up on them, right?
Thank you for saying that. It's so crazy. And guess what? Homeowners will lie to you. We sold, I don't know how many dozens of roofs. They wouldn't say exactly that they went with somebody else. Some people did just said that. We would sell somebody else.
It's another guy, right? Yeah.
And then they're like, wait. And then literally 9 months later, like, you know what? That guy fell through. He did whatever the reason was. And you've still been texting me.
Yeah. Or one better, John. It's like you put them on the texting list so that when a storm rolls through,
yep,
you say, hey, would you like us to come out and look at your roof? Now, they're not your customer yet, right? So you don't want to assume. But you could say, hey, would you like us to stop by and look at your roof? And they're like, oh my gosh, of course, yes. So if the lead doesn't turn into a job, they're going to go into a different bucket. They're going to go into what I call a nurture series, which basically goes on forever. You never end it.
Yeah.
And it can be a repetition loop. So you'll run a series of emails and text messages out, and once you complete that loop, you start it again. And you're just always in front of them so that when something happens, and we know it will, right? They'll be like, you know what? I've been getting emails and text messages from this guy for 2 years, and now I need him. It's like when when you spring a leak, if the plumber has been in front of you, you know who to call. Or if something happens in your house with the electricity, if somebody's been in touch with you, you know who to call. And so it's don't ever give up on that, that lead, because you paid for it,
Yep.
And I don't know what the percentages are, but, I'm sure that if, in a CRM, you could probably just do a data dump from the CRM into AI and say, hey, give me the an average of the number of people that have actually done business with us who are in that nurture sequence, like who came from that nurture sequence. And again, there's the effort to build it. But once you build it, you don't have to do anything with it. It's just running in the background, you know?
Yep. These are great ideas. We can talk about these on a nice podcast. It was fun. It is fun to talk about. How do you do this as a roofer? You got to have a system, a process. Like you have to have a way to do it.
Yep.
It is somewhat difficult. You got to export the data and then put it in there. I'm super excited because this summer we actually have, what are we officially calling it? I don't even know. But basically we're going to have AI built in, more advanced AI built into our platform.
Yep.
And to do exactly what you just said, I've done some testing on it. It's pretty easy. You just literally just tell it to do exactly the words you just said.
Yeah.
Hey, how many people have been on nurture that we actually close? Like whenever you call your stages.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful data that you can get just like, boom, you understand.
You just put it at the end of the 45-day sequence. You do an if-then branching. If they are a customer, right, they go over here. If they're not a customer, they'll go over here. So the not a customer goes into the nurture. Basically the command there is go to another automation, right?
Yeah.
So if no, go to this automation, and you run it back out, right? And if anything, and you can do a global rule that basically says if they do become a customer, you pull them off the automation, right? So all this stuff, once you learn how it works, it is such a fantastic tool, no different than any tool you would use in your business, right? If you're a farmer, you've got your tractor. If you're a roofer, you've got your big gun, your nail gun. It becomes a tool like that. For you really just, you squeeze every bit of juice out of that orange you can, when that lead comes in.
Love it. Love it. Well, switching gears, we kind of touched on this before, memberships. I love this mentality in general that you're having, just staying, because it was definitely my mentality to okay, like I said before, I like to sell and then move on. I maintain a relationship. We want to do an excellent job. We really do care about the roof we install. But I was really bad about okay, well, I can't really service this person again because we didn't have storms.
Yeah.
But that was a false way of thinking. I'll call myself out on that. But from the business perspective, I should have gone back and changed a lot of things that you're saying right now. Let's talk about memberships, and let's talk about, I tried it a couple different times. I didn't really have a great plan.
Yep.
What are you seeing in the roofing space? Because HVAC is really good about that. They're just
There's lawn care, bug people.
They're making bank. They're just making bank, and the customers are getting value. That's the thing. That's the problem that I saw, is that I feel like most homeowners did not see the value in the roofing side of things.
Yeah.
Because they think a roof is a roof. Once it's done right, it should never leak, right? And even if you educate them over and over again, they're like, no, it's not like that. There is maintenance on any roof that you have. So that was the biggest challenge for us. And we tried different pricing points, different models. We're never successful. So tell me, solve this problem for the roofing industry.
Okay. The one thing I will tell you, though, is there are very few of them out there, but the operators that I've talked to that created their own membership programs say it was the greatest thing they ever did for their business. Not a single one that actually put the time in to create it has said it was a bad idea. So they're far and few between, but for the ones that that do it right, they say it's been a real game changer for their business. But let me tell you how to sell it. Okay. Because everybody wants to go in and sell it as a maintenance plan, not a maintenance plan. It is a protection plan.
Okay.
So you know how when you go into Best Buy and you buy a TV and the guy says, hey, for an extra blah, 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 we can, for another, $20 a month, if your TV craps out on you, we replace it for free. Well, $20 a month. Okay. I'll do that for the size of the investment. So the best time to close on membership is when you're done with the job and you're with the homeowner and you guys are looking at lovingly at the roof, the new roof. Homeowner's happy, job was done, everybody's happy. That's when you say, hey, I just want to let you know about our a protection plan that we have for your roof. And that's where you stack an offer. So you say for 49, for $49 a month or 99 or 179, those are three, those are good, better, best levels. We're going to do this, and this. And you just keep listing off all the things you're going to do for that monthly subscription. Now, the most important part of this, and again, when you're in a storm market, this will sell it, is that storm response, which is like, I got on my phone right here, hail trace, right? So storms moving through your area with, inch diameter hail will be out to your home within the next 24 to 48 hours to assess the damage, determine what you need, and give you a quote on how to repair, on what needs to be repaired. Okay. So that would be part of the membership. The annual inspection is part of the membership. Minor repairs thrown in would be part of that membership. Like, think of all the things that you could show up and in 5 minutes, you could kind of, you fix really easy stuff, right? You throw that in, right? So, like, for example, on my house, I've got these downspout extensions, and the screws always come out.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're walking in, and no, you know what? We'll come out, we'll check your downspouts, make sure everything's good, but you don't charge for that. Now, I know what, because they've said it to me, they go, I can't do that. I can't afford to do that. That's blah, blah, blah. So I was in the car wash business for 15 years, and I created a membership program in 2011. When I started selling it to my customers, it was $50 a month. And my customers would say to me, they would laugh at me and they go, I'm going to put you out of business. I'm like, well, you could try. Because it was basically, they would say, you mean I can come to the car wash every day and wash my car? And I go, yeah, for $50 a month. They're like, sign me up. Within 2 weeks, we'd signed up 350 people at $50 a month. And they all thought they were going to put me out of business. Okay. Take a guess at how many times the average member came every month.
All right, I've heard this stat about the new like car washes that go around, different brands, whatever. I've heard that they sell one car, that one goes 3 times a month. They sell the spouse, and that one goes 0 times a month. That's what I've heard.
1.2 times per month for membership. Okay, so they're paying me, and we're generating this monthly income, and it's keeping my car wash busy. Right? Because when it's raining, people still come to get the car wash because, they don't have to worry about the rain. But my point to the roofing operator is, it's basically the same thing. It's that anytime, so the membership is your excuse to go out and see the homeowner. Oh, I'm inspecting your roof, or I was in the neighborhood. I just wanted to kind of see if you needed anything done. It's part of the membership. And then when a storm rolls through, and it doesn't even have to be a big storm, just be a heavy rainstorm, that's an excuse to go out, okay? And they're paying you, and the more that they see you, the more they feel like they're getting the value. But the way that you sell it is that when you're sitting in your house and there is a massive, massive thunderstorm or downpour, you hear it on the roof, and your roof is not leaking and your family is safe, that's why you want the membership. And the other thing too, the other part of it is access. So you make access a huge issue, which is when you need us, we're there same day. In other words, because you're a member, you get priority over everybody else. So that's what we talk about stacking the offer, is that inside those tiers, good, better, best, you're going to have, okay, for good, you're going to get these 5 things or 6 things. And then for better, you're going to get those 6 things plus these 4 things. And then for best, you're going to get better, and then you're going to get these additional 5 things. Okay. And so when you present it that way, after the job is done, a lot of homeowners are thinking about, what? That makes total sense, because if something happens to my roof, I need you now, especially if there's a storm. You're going to inspect my roof every year, which again, people a lot of times you put the roof up, it's a 20-year roof or a 30-year roof. They're not thinking about inspecting the roof, every year, but there's stuff happening on the roof that's going to be a problem, you know, and that's just part of that selling, that value proposition, of the membership where people are going to say, why wouldn't I do that is really where you want to get them, get them to. Why would I not do that?
Yeah.
To protect my roof and protect my house and my kids and, everything. So I think listen, I get a lot of pushback from operators about membership, and it's okay. But I not only did I do membership for the car wash, but I've done membership for many, many other businesses, when I was working as a freelance contractor. And I always approached them and said, listen, I think you can subscribe. I think you can develop a subscription product for this. And they're like, oh, no way. And I showed them that they could. Yeah, I think that the future for roofers is to create a recurring stream of revenue through membership because, number one, roofing is a weather business. I was in a weather business with car washing, and when I was in the window business, you basically eliminate weather risk when you've got recurring income, which is awesome. But secondly, and again, not every operator is thinking this way, but when you're thinking about transitioning out of roofing, right? Like, hey, I want to sell my business. When you have a private equity firm come in and they're looking at a line item on that balance sheet that says, recurring revenue. They're going to say,
service.
Tell me about that, right? And you talk to them about your membership program. That's something, and I know this when I sold my car washes in 2018, the thing that I got, typically with a car wash, you'll get 3 to 5 times, earnings, okay, as a standard. Because I had a very robust, my membership program got up to about $80,000 a month for a car wash. And so I got 14 times earnings for my car wash, which is an absurd amount of money. Okay. Versus 3 or 5 times earnings. And the only reason, well, it was 2 reasons. Number one, I had that recurring revenue stream, and everything in my car wash was set up on systems so that when they wrote that check and I didn't show up the next day, that car wash opened and ran and the customers got taken care of and the crews got paid and everybody was happy, right? And it's all because we had systems. I had a manager, an assistant manager, everything. So the membership side provides the recurring revenue, but that PE firm is also they're purchasing a system, right? They're not purchasing the business, they're purchasing the system that runs the business. Yeah. And this is something I think when you look at, for example, what you guys do, what ProLine does, is when a buyer comes in and sees that all of this stuff is automated, John, and running on its own, that's a check mark. Like, bing, you know what? That's good. Because if the owner goes on vacation for 3 months, business still runs, jobs still get done, jobs get closed, estimates get followed up on, and that's all part of that, systemization of the business.
Yep. It's very true. Something that took me a long time to learn, still learning today. It's been very insightful today, Mike. I've really appreciated your insight on things, realizing I made a lot of mistakes in my roofing business. And I hope someone can listen and watch this and hopefully not make the same mistakes, but stay in front of the customer, stay in front of the customer consistently over and over again. This is how it kind of everything builds on, like, your whole argument with the memberships. It's a mentality. Yeah, you have to shift your mentality from what mine was, which is like, get in there, sell it, do an amazing job, and then probably never see them again.
Never see them
except in, at the grocery store or whatever. But you got to change your mentality on that. Like, you've got to continually stay in front of the same people and then get referrals from them too. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah. Let me just say one thing about that. When the job is done, if you have membership, you say to the homeowner, and we're going to give you 1 year of our membership at no cost. And that, by the way, that includes all of the things that I was talking about before, right? The inspections, the storm response, all of that. But the easy way to do that is to say, you get 1 year of our membership for free. Oh, tell me, what does that include? And you just start rattling that stuff off, John. And once you have them and you are following up, right? You're not just getting that monthly, number for nothing. Once you start following up, you're never going to lose those people. They're never going to churn out. So
yeah. If you're providing the value, they're never leaving.
They're never leaving. They're never leaving.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate you inviting me to be on. I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed our conversation. How do people get in touch with you?
Well, they can go to theroofingrevenuesystem.com, and that's my homepage. I'm on Facebook, michael.christie.7792. That's my handle for Facebook. And yeah, I'm, very active on Facebook. And so if anybody wants to reach out with me, that's probably the best place, is on Messenger.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, thanks again for coming, and thanks everybody for watching. Until next time, have a good day.
All right.